Hi, I'm back. No intro time. I don't feel like doing one. Okay. Today I'm going to be talking about eugenics, and only a little bit on eugenics because I am still working on a full video essay for that, just on the history of eugenics. But I want to talk about eugenics, propaganda, and how propaganda can fuel the justification for genocide. For a very long time, people have hidden behind a mask of wanting the best for humanity as a way to justify discrimination against a group of people. Another common tactic is to refer to the horrendous acts you're committing as scientific or an act of defense. Whether that be giving it a fancy name or twisting the details of what is truly going on, people have long used these tactics to hide their evil intentions from the public, at least until they don't have to. When having a discussion about propaganda, I think it's incredibly important to understand that no one is immune to propaganda, and that really bothers me because I want to think that I've done enough research into it that I would be able to stop it. I would be able to stop my mind in its tracks and be able to tell if something's propaganda and not fall for it, but that's not true. It's important that people understand how effective propaganda is, as well as how easy it is to fall for really harmful propaganda. Many times in history, people in power have used a group of people as a scapegoat to deflect from scrutiny of their own people. When you're ruling a country and you don't like a certain group of people, it is easy to make your citizens hate that group of people by lying about them. Anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic propaganda has been around for a really, 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 really long time. And I think it's important that more people acknowledge that whenever people ask, how did we even let the Holocaust happen, is a lot of people turned a blind eye to it or were in full support because of what they learned from propaganda, that all of their problems are actually this group of people's fault, which is not true. But if you're already trying to deflect from your own problems and you can find a group of people to blame those problems on so you feel better about it yourself, it's easy to do that. And in doing that, you can then dehumanize those people and be okay with their suffering and their death. When I talk about history of propaganda and I talk about genocide, I think it's very important to mention the Holocaust as well as it is to mention the ongoing genocide of Palestinians as a citizen of the US. I can't explain how much it pains me knowing that my tax dollars are funding a genocide. And I can't really do anything against that. As many times as I've personally donated to relief funds in Gaza, I can't single-handedly stop the IDF from bombing Gaza. It is more important than ever for everyone to be aware of what's happening, to know that that is a bad thing, that you can't act in defense when the people that you're supposed to be defending yourself from are running away. You can't claim that that's an act of defense. It's important to spread the message as much as you can and to not let Israel's propaganda overtake social media, because it can be very effective to put a label of anti-Semitism on anyone who is not a Zionist, which quite frankly is evil. I've seen a lot of people say oh, you should support Israel because they support gay marriage there. They're the most progressive place in the Middle East. I don't care. I really, really, really couldn't care less if they're the most progressive place in the Middle East. That doesn't take away from the fact that they're still killing innocent people. Also, gay marriage is not legal in Israel. They acknowledge it abroad, but it's not allowed. And even if it was, that wouldn't make a difference. I don't only care about issues. I don't only care about people that share the same political opinions as me. I don't care if an innocent Palestinian was homophobic or not. Because at the end of the day, there's still an innocent civilian that was killed for no reason. That I should only care about places or people that share the same beliefs as me would make me a terrible person. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to suffering because I don't share the same opinions as everyone, even if it's on issues like human rights. Me ignoring those people goes against their human rights. I've many things to say on this issue, but I will say that I've heard way too many people in like the last month talk about I can't say anything about Palestine and Israel because I'm not educated enough on the matter. Like I don't know anything. Hi, can you read? I'll give you a little bit of grace and say, well, if you haven't done any research then, you can now. Nothing is stopping you. If you have access to internet, you know there's search engine Google, you can actually look some of that stuff up. You can actually research the history of Palestine. You can actually understand what's going on instead of being lazy. There's an absurd amount of people who the hill that they're willing to die on is defending really mediocre coffee. I'm talking about Starbucks, obviously. Why are you up in arms about defending your right to eat highly processed, really nasty, or at the best mediocre food? I understand some people live in food deserts, and places like McDonald's may be their only option. But I'm going to specifically focus on Starbucks because that's not required. You have to make that choice, actually. People get so pissed if anyone is like, I'm not going to Starbucks because obviously we're not. And people are like, well, I'm going to go to Starbucks twice as much. Great, you're wasting your money on mediocre coffee. Mediocre at best. It's not even good. Why is this the hill you're willing to die on? That's what you're fighting to the death for? Your right to eat those things? I can't stop you from doing that. I can try to pound some sense into you by saying hey, let's have some human empathy. That isn't working. Let's ignore the empathy aspect and say, why are these places the ones you're fighting so hard for? They're not even good. I don't understand. I'm not educated enough to speak on the issue. It's been 3 months. It's been a long time. You've had time. And if you're complaining about it on the internet, I guarantee you have access to a search engine like Google. And you can actually, instead of sounding stupid online, you can actually go and look that up and educate yourself so you don't sound stupid online. To say that I'm not educated enough on the issue to speak out about it is not enough, because that's your cue to go learn about it. That's your cue to do something. Okay, that's not a permanent state that you can stay in of, I'm just not going to say anything because I don't know anything. Look, hey, look, like, listen to me. You can read, right? You have access to Google. You have access to your local library. You can actually go and, like, read things. Did you know that? I'm gonna drive myself crazy talking about this, but I think it's really important. I don't have very much of a platform, obviously, but I'm gonna continue talking about it because, and as many people that are talking about it, which is incredible, not enough people are talking about it because there are still people defending Israel, which is crazy. What's really weird to me is the fact that, like, a digital footprint exists, and in the future, hopefully when this ends, people will look back on it and there will be so much documented evidence of people just not caring about genocide publicly, because that could be hidden. You could lie about it in the future if it happened before social media, but now you can outright justify genocide on social media, and that's there forever. That's there for future generations to look back on and see that you justified that. You thought it was a good thing. And that's evil. That is really embarrassing, but also evil. You shouldn't do things to be on the right side of history, because that's kind of like self-centered, of like, I care about people view me in the future. You should care about people because they're people. If you want people to care about you, you should also care about people. That being said, if your reputation is that important to you, know that supporting genocide in the future is not going to look great for you. So that openly supporting genocide on social media is not going to look great for you in the future. It's embarrassing to air out your ignorance online, because now not only can everyone in this generation see it, but that's there forever. Future generations can look back on that and see how ignorant you were in a time of crisis, and they'll say, how did they let that happen? They didn't care. It didn't affect them, so they didn't care. They were able to look away and ignore that it was happening because it wasn't a big enough deal that they should do anything about it. That it wasn't affecting them personally, so why should they care about it? And I can't stand the amount of people that seem to lack human decency, that seem to lack a sense of empathy. It drives me crazy. I don't understand how so many people can, even if you're not pro-Israel, if you can just lack empathy entirely and completely ignore everything that's happening. But yeah, I think I've said all that I need to say. I'll make more if I need to say more. It wasn't scripted, which might be obvious. Since this is a very, very relevant and recent topic, I think it's more important to use what platform I have, which is, granted, not big, but any platform, to try to spread something good or helpful. Because I've been writing a video on the Black Death for a couple weeks now, but I wanted to talk about something that is relevant and really important to right now, and at least people know where I stand on that, then just ignore it and talk about other things. So I just want to clarify that. I'm not going to have a super fancy outro. I'm not going to really do a whole lot of updates on my life like I usually do. If you do want any updates, you can follow me on my Instagram, which is right there. I'm going to put it right there. It's going to be super sick in editing. Anyways, stay healthy, stay educated, stop ignoring problems that are happening in the world because they don't affect you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.